Good evening. Welcome to today's Tropics for June 26th, 2021. Please note, I am not a meteorologist, and this video is just a collection of my thoughts and opinions about the storms I'm talking about. And for any decision making, please consult the National Hurricane Center or local officials. So today I'm looking at this area of spin under two upper level lows, currently about south or southwest of Bermuda, and also Invest 95L, which is currently in the central Atlantic. Let's go back to this area of interest here as 10% chance to form right now, but it does look good at the surface right now. We kind of look at the low cloud motion. You can see the general trade wind flow, then kind of curvature a bit north, and then another curvature here. So you got a decent trough embedded in here. And at the same time, you can see very weak winds down here, almost trying to become westerlies. So this is already trying to become a closed low-level surface center. So we'll see if it can do that. It's got decent convection too. The general guidance has been rather unenthusiastic right now in this, but it has been underdoing the convective extent here, and so the guidance has been trending generally more amplified, but hasn't really developed this yet. We'll see if it does. Again, it only has a 10% chance to form from the National Hurricane Center, so we'll see if it does that. But looking at the upper level flow here, so that's Cirrus, see that one upper low kind of giving it some upper divergence right here, and then another upper low that is basically with both of them making almost sort of an upper anticyclone. So it's got decent conditions right now. The National Hurricane Center does note that the pressures are rather high, so that might keep it from spinning up if spinning up because of those higher pressures. So to the north of it, there's there's a large ridge right here, and that'll keep it bottled up to the south. It's not going to recurve like sometimes you see with systems this far north, but instead it'll kind of just keep on going a bit west or a bit north of due west. And probably the general area of spin will hit probably somewhere around South Carolina or Georgia, and we'll give it at least a nice dose of rain. We'll have to see if this becomes anything more than that, but probably within the next couple of days, like say into Tuesday, that's when we'll get some rain. But we'll have to see if there's any sort of wind with that, or we see an actual tropical cyclone come ashore. Looking at the current upper level flow, we can see that kind of a weak upper low right here. But in general, there's that larger upper low that's creating mostly cyclonic flow aloft, but there is that little pocket where there's almost anticyclonic flow aloft, and that's supporting that convection. And this area of upper cyclonic flow will kind of persist, but eventually this deep layer ridge is going to kind of push down on this area and push down those upper lows and kind of keep this area of upper cyclonic flow here to the south. And this kind of area of interest will be on the north side of these upper lows. So it'll be feeling some easterly flow aloft, but since it'll already be moving in that general direction, it's probably going to be experiencing some low shear on approach to the coast, and it could also do something right near the coast too, because there is that there is that Gulf Stream that kind of sometimes gets areas of convection kind of perk up. So we'll see if it tries to spin up. Again, the chances are low, but it is something to watch because it is hurricane season. Now let's look at Invest 95L. It looked like things were over for this thing a couple of days ago because the guidance was generally keeping this kind of vorticity max to the north and kind of keeping it way up north here where the sea surface temperatures are lower and it's closer to that stable air. So that would have kept it from getting much convection and probably would have made it dissipate and left only the broad area of that broader wave axis to not really develop. but instead it didn't really go that far north. It kind of stayed at around 10 degrees north, or even a little below that. There's a general area of spin that's east of this, but it's harder to see because it is night. There is some convection, but it is a bit sheared from that easterly flow aloft. It's a bit deeper now, and we'll have to see if this can really do much of anything. It seems unlikely in the near term that we'll have to worry about it, but there is a window a bit further along that it could kind of spin up and become a tropical cyclone. Chances are only 30% in the next 5 days to do that, but again, it is something to watch, even though it is in an area where you wouldn't usually see development this early. So looking at the water vapor, you can see that tropical easterly jet, so a lot of easterly flow aloft. And while this isn't too favorable right now, the general easterly flow with the push of upper easterlies will push even into the western Atlantic, almost into the Caribbean. And so that will actually keep shear low in the 495 Elton for the next little while. And that will be one reason why it will have experience a window of more favorable conditions. Now, its two biggest things against it right now are that stable air is kind of trying to wrap in from the north and the west here, but also the lower sea surface temperatures, because that will kind of keep it from doing a whole lot with its convection. See, it's around right here right now. So the sea surface temperatures aren't great. They're kind of marginal, but it's better than if it was like, say, way up near 15 degrees north in waters below 26 degrees Celsius. But it'll generally keep going, say, west northwestward, uh, possibly towards the Lesser Antilles and eventually the Greater Antilles, depending on how things evolve. But after it kind of gets to this area where these sea surface temperatures are marginal, then you're going to have that 26-degree line go way up north. You're going to kind of hit that western Atlantic warm pool around 40 to 45 degrees west. And here's where the stable air and the general marginal sea surface temperatures will start to fade. And as it starts getting in this region, it'll probably again perk up a little bit as you kind of see some strong waves do in the western Atlantic, and this is going to be its window to actually become a developed system. Now, looking at the steering flow, it's pretty straightforward. You just got this big upper, or this big area of anticyclonic flow, so that is the subtropical ridge, and Invest 95L will generally track west-northwest along this ridge and possibly affect the Lesser Antilles and Greater Antilles. Now, let's look at the actual conditions for it once it starts emerging into a better environment. So here is the GFS, or a GFS frame. Now, it is a deterministic run, so for example, here has very sharp trough, probably almost on the verge of becoming a tropical cyclone. But that output aside, the more thing we have more confidence about is this upper level ridge that's kind of nosing into the western Atlantic here. And you see at this point, right where Invest 95L is, there's a southeasterly flow aloft, and as it's traveling west-northwest rather briskly, I might add, it's not going to have a lot of shear here. So once it hits 50 degrees north, which is that kind of area where waves start to kind of get a little more impressive convectively, you could see this try to get something going while the shear is low and while the water temperatures increase. So the window will probably start likely in Tuesday or Wednesday as it gets into this area of higher sea surface temperature. And when the window closes, probably not too long after that, probably a day or two later, as it starts to get in the Caribbean. And once it gets in the Caribbean, it's going to start feeling stronger trade winds at the low levels. So that will, one, unless it becomes strong somehow, which it doesn't seem likely that it will, it will start getting strung out by that strong trade wind flow and trade wind divergence that will also suppress some of the convection. Uh, and it'll also keep it from being closed. So it'll try to make it into an open wave. But also that means that kind of wet or that say southeasterly flow that's along the upper ridge. Eventually, it's not going to be good enough as it starts moving faster because that means the upper level winds need to be even more easterly for it to have low shear. And at this point, once it starts meeting up with the tut cell that is common in this part of the basin at this time of year, the upper level winds look like they'll start turning more southerly. And if you have southerly winds aloft and low that is moving to the west northwest, then it's going to start feeling some southwesterly shear, and that will probably close the door for any additional development, uh, or if it has developed, probably start to weaken it, and then land interaction could further weaken it. Now, no matter what happens, though, there is going to be a wave, and probably a strong wave, tracking into this area. And as you know, or as people may know, strong waves in this area do bring showers and thunderstorms along with them. So even if it is not a tropical cyclone, probably expect some showers and thunderstorms as that wave axis passes by. Uh, Luckily, it doesn't seem that uh, it will have time or the conditions to become a strong tropical cyclone. So, luckily, it's too early in the season to quite worry about that. Uh, that's about it for tonight. If you have any questions or comments about my video, please let me know. Thanks for watching.